Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do a video on my exclusively pumping update. I don't know what I'm calling it yet, but I've been getting lots of questions on are we still exclusively pumping, is Avery on formula, and and all these different questions. So I thought I would do an update. What is she's almost 9 months, so I'll say an 8-month update on our breastfeeding journey. So I am still pumping. I try to pump 4 times a day, and my pumping schedule mostly is right when I wake up. Excuse me, I don't know, I just got like a sneezing attack before this and my nose is still itchy. So right when I wake up, right when Avery wakes up. So Avery will wake up and she's fine. She doesn't need a bottle or anything. So most of the time I will pump right there. But if Phoenix is already awake, then I'll get him, change his diaper, do all that, give him milk, and then while he's having milk and you know, just hanging around the room and stuff, watching a little bit of cartoons, then I'll pump. So before we even get our day started, I'd pump. If he's still asleep or kind of just rolling around entertained, I'll pump before I even get him, so I just get it out of the way. So that's about 8 o'clock-ish, 8:30-ish, around there. Then we come downstairs, we start our day, and so forth. And then again, I will pump at nap time, which is normally around 1 o'clock. I won't pump right when I put them down, so before nap time is over, I will pump. So before I even go get Phoenix, I will pump. Sometimes Avery's awake or sometimes she's asleep. It just depends. But most of the time, I will pump like probably 2-ish or so. You know, it depends. If I'm feeling a little uncomfortable, then I'll pump right as soon as I put them down for a nap. But if not, I will wait until the middle of it or the end, depending on what I'm doing. So between those hours of like 1 and 3-ish, I will pump again. And then I pump again. This is the pump that is this pump session that is the hardest. I try to pump when my husband gets home and maybe after dinner, but before we put them to bed, I try to pump again. So let's say 7 o'clock-ish, because it's hard because the kids eat at 7, but I just, so it depends. If I pumped earlier at nap time, then I'll try to do it, you know, around that time, but it all depends. Sometimes if I pumped like at 4, so it kind of all depends how my day is going, but I try to get that pump in again before bedtime. If I can't, I will pump as soon as I put them down to bed, and then I will pump again before I go to bed. But if I get that pump in before we put them to bed, then I will just pump again right before I go to bed. It's like the last thing I do. I will edit and clean and do everything, and it's normally around 12 o'clock that I will pump. Once I see it starting to hit 12, I'm like, okay, I need to pump because I'm going to start getting ready for bed soon, and then I don't end up going to sleep for like another hour or so. But 12 o'clock is kind of like when I like to pump again. So I'll either pump before they go to bed or right as soon as they go to bed, because then it's been a long time. So I try my best to pump 4 times a day. A lot of times the kids are either sleeping or I'm just with one, so it's not as hard, even though I can sit here right here and pump and Phoenix and Avery be playing and they're both very well entertained. I only pump for about 15 minutes, so I can do it with them awake if I need to, but most of the time I only have one of them or they're sleeping. Like my last one, they're always sleeping. And then if I pump when my husband gets home, I'll leave them down here and I'll go upstairs and pump by myself. So that's my pumping schedule. When I first started this journey, if you're just starting to exclusively pump, I used to pump pretty much every 2 hours, and it was hard, especially having two, but the baby was really small and she was always sleeping, so every time I fed her, I would pump after or before, and Phoenix would kind of entertain himself. I would put TV on for him, or I would give him a snack, or just make sure he was entertained, put on his favorite show or whatever it was. And it was a lot because I was trying to build my supply, and for a while I had a really big supply. I even had to buy a deep freezer, and I still have about, I would say, 30 bags of 6 ounces, which is not a lot because I had over 100 at one point, but she started eating more, I started getting less. As the time goes on, there's days that I only can pump 3 times a day. If we go out, I won't really pump depending where we're going. So but 3 times is probably the minimum that I will pump. Now I have introduced formula to Avery, and we use the Similac supplementation one. It's like green, and it's for when you're introducing breast formula to breast milk fed babies, and we really like this one. We've never had a problem with it. But for the most part, her middle of the night feeding, Avery sometimes wakes up once a night, but it's only sometimes. So it's probably, out of the 7 days of the week, she'll probably wake up 4 times or so. Around, it always depends, but I was noticing that I was discarding a lot of my breast milk because it would go bad because she wouldn't wake up, and I hated to have to like warm it up on the spot, so I would have it warmed up already, but it only can be like 6 hours, or I would not have it warmed up. Like, I'd have the last pump I pumped, I would save that for her. So now what I do is I give her formula, and like I said, most of the times she doesn't wake up, so I don't have to give it to her, but there are times that she does, and it's just so much easier to just put the formula in, mix it, and give it to her when I'm half asleep, to be totally honest. So we have definitely introduced it, and that has definitely helped with my milk, because now I have more milk. Like, I'm not wasting it, and I'm not giving her that, so it's kind of like more of my breast milk, and I haven't had to use any frozen milk for about a couple weeks now. I've also take formula when we're on the go, and most of the time I don't have to use it because I'll take a breast milk bottle, like I'll warm it up as soon as we leave, and that will be her next bottle. And most of the time we're home before that, but if not, she will get a formula bottle after that if we're out for 2 feedings, or I'll try to hold her off with other stuff. But I always have a formula bottles in my bag. Like, I'll only take 1 breast milk bottle, and the rest I'll just take formula, because like I said, a lot of times I was just wasting it, or she wasn't drinking it. She would fall asleep when we went out, and then she would just drink the one, and then the second one was going to waste. So sometimes there'll be days that she'll have 2 formula bottles, there'll be days that she only has 1, there'll be days she has none. It's just all depends on how the day's going. But honestly, having that formula in my mind and knowing I can give that to her kind of eases the stress of making sure I produce enough milk all the time. So I still have a little bit of in my supply in my deep freezer, and I haven't had to use it, so that's good, because throwing in the formula bottle here and there kind of has helped. I definitely not making as much milk. I'm not taking anything either. I used to take fenugreek, and I haven't drank that in a long time. And I don't know, at this point we're almost at 9 months. We only have 3 more months left. I don't need to like boost my supply to be crazy big, because I'm okay with giving her formula. She's eating a lot more, so her bottles are starting to be less and less, and that's why also the milk that I'm making is definitely enough for her, because she's drinking less milk. Sometimes there's days where she wants so much milk it's crazy, but because she's eating, so that is also helping with the milk production. But if you're just starting off, I will link down below my first video that I did on exclusively pumping, and I found that it wasn't as hard this time. Last time I was very discouraged, but it was because I wasn't making a lot of milk, so it was hard because I wasn't making. Now I make enough. Each time I pump about 4 ounces on each breast, more or less, depending on when was my last pump. The morning pump I always pretty much get 10 ounces, but lately it's been like a little less, so it always depends on when you pump. But each pump I make at least enough for 1 bottle, and I pump 4 times a day, so that's 4 bottles, and she's drinking about, I don't even know how many bottles a day she drinks, but it's still good because I have the formula there that I'm okay with using, and she's still getting a big chunk of my milk, a lot more than Phoenix was getting at this time in my in his life. When he was 8 months old, I think that's when I completely stopped pumping. So I'm happy that we're almost at 9 months and I'm still pumping enough to give her the majority breast milk, where with Phoenix he was getting majority formula for a long time. So I'm happy with that. I will continue pumping until the end if I can, and if I start to just really not get any, to at least make 2 bottles a day, then I will just use my stash and stop pumping. But I think we'll be good for the next 4 months at least. And it's a huge goal for me to even get to this point, because it's farther than I got with Phoenix, and that was my goal, get farther than with Phoenix. And I did it. So if you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below. I try my best to answer them. This is what worked for me. If there's any other videos you would like me to do about this subject, let me know. Also, check out our daily channel. The link will be down below for you. You can go check us out there. And I talk more about just, you know, stuff in everyday life about pumping and stuff. And if you have any questions, like I said, leave them down below. I said this like 25 times, and I will try my best to answer you. So I hope I answered questions for anybody who asked what our pumping schedule was, how we did it with 2. But if I didn't, like I said, leave it down below and I'll try to get back to you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.